Hi there, Jeff Nelson with VegSource. A question that comes up with a lot of my videos goes something like this. If a doctor promotes a plant-based diet, should he or she still be required to follow ethical guidelines? In other words, does a plant-based doctor have to be honest, or is the value of encouraging people to eat a whole foods, vegan diet, is that so great that it justifies any type of behavior? For example, if a plant-based doctor grossly misrepresents research, can we overlook it if the end result is that more people will adopt this way of eating? How about if a vegan doctor uses a fake weight loss testimonial to promote his or her eating plan? Would that be okay if it led more people to change their diets to one that's more plant-based? I want to ask my viewers how they would answer this question once you've watched to the end of this video. Today we're going to talk about how Dr. Joel Fuhrman uses a fake testimonial and misrepresents his research in order to market his nutritarian weight loss program. In a previous video, I showed how Dr. Fuhrman made grossly inaccurate claims about a weight loss study he published in 2008. In today's video, you're going to see how he is using similar forms of deception to promote a 2015 weight loss study that he co-authored. So first, we're going to look at this before and after weight loss story that Dr. Fuhrman has been using for over a decade. He shows before and after photos in a testimonial purported to be written by a man named Scott. And Scott says on this page that he used the nutritarian diet to lose 330 pounds. But Scott has told me and others that this testimonial is not true. He never followed the nutritarian diet. Next, we're going to look at a weight loss study Dr. Fuhrman published here in October of 2015 in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine. Besides making numerous false claims about the results, Dr. Fuhrman took the data from this 2015 article and republished it in April of 2019 in a new plant-based journal called the International Journal of Disease Reversal and Prevention.
In my study I just published in this, the International Journal of Disease Prevention Reversal, I did show an average of about 50 pounds weight loss.
As we'll see in a few minutes, the weight loss claim Dr. Fuhrman made here to Dr. McDougall is not accurate, nor does Dr. Fuhrman make it clear that this new study is the exact study that was already published 4 years earlier. Okay, let's look at this page. On Dr. Fuhrman's website, it's called Scott's Story, and it says at the top, many individuals who follow the nutritarian diet write to Dr. Fuhrman about their success. So this page makes it appear that a guy named Scott sent his story to Dr. Fuhrman, and Dr. Fuhrman is publishing it. The text is inside quotes and it's in the first person, so it looks like Scott wrote to Dr. Fuhrman about his experience that he used Dr. Fuhrman's nutritarian diet to lose 331 pounds. But, as I mentioned, this is not true. Scott did not follow Dr. Fuhrman's diet. I was actually tipped off by another journalist, Roberta Russell, who has done a couple of stories on Scott. She said she actually learned about Scott from Dr. Fuhrman. Russell has written extensively about weight loss and included Scott in his story when talking about very impressive weight loss. So about Scott, she wrote, "By the time my deadline arrived, only Dr. Fuhrman could find such a successful example, Scott Cutshall. This remarkable man was not among his patients. Scott said that he had devised his own diet regime using his unique sense of satisfaction with particular foods to create an appropriate diet that he could enjoy. He did not follow anyone else's formula for success." So Russell went out of her way to let the reader know that Scott had lost weight following his own program and not using Dr. Fuhrman's diet. So she tells Scott's actual story. This unique man lost more than 320 pounds, reducing from 501 pounds in 2005 when he was 42 to less than 168 pounds in 3 years and 3 months. He has now maintained a weight of 170 pounds, varying no more than 3 pounds for 7 years without feeling deprived or hungry, without bariatric surgery or drugs. So this was written in 2016. He had to take extraordinary measures to ensure remaining at a normal weight, but it was worth it to him. He rode his bike up to 53 miles per day in the beginning, walked many miles each day, and ate the same plant-based food of his own design. Again, she wants the reader to understand Scott didn't use someone else's program. Food of his own design, selected for the textures and crunch and caloric requirements that would satisfy both his palate and his calorie equilibrium. He had the support of his family and extraordinary presence of mind, which seems to be required for a rare feat of this magnitude. Many bicycle magazines have interviewed and written about Scott's success because he rode his bike many miles every day to lose weight. Scott made no secret of his success. When he weighed 501 pounds, he decided to go on a diet of about 1,100 calories a day and ride a bike every day between 20 and 50 miles. He told journalists about his diet. Scott says he has continued to this day to eat between 1,000 and 1,200 calories a day, and he rides his bike between 10 and 30 miles a day in order to maintain his weight loss. So I contacted Scott, I emailed him, and I sent him a link to this page on Dr. Fuhrman's website. I said I had conflicting information about him. Dr. Fuhrman is saying that you followed his diet, but I've heard from another journalist that that's not true. Scott wrote back to me and he said, yes, Dr. Fuhrman's page is not accurate, that he never followed a nutritarian diet. He replied that Joel is a good guy, but for some reason likes to use the bits of my personal story that seem to benefit him and his business interests the most. That would be my best guess. I suppose it's the day and age we all live in. Each time I've been interviewed by him or one of his staff people, I tell them the same thing, but they extrapolate it into something that isn't completely correct. Scott then proceeded to tell me his story. Years ago, when he was super overweight, he was reading many books on weight loss, including Dr. Fuhrman's Eat to Live book, which he said he liked. After reading it, he did nothing for 6 months. Then he hatched a plan about eating 1,000 calories a day and riding a bike to lose a whole lot of weight. And he had a custom bike built that would support his 500-plus pound frame. The bike arrived, but then once again, Scott did nothing. Another 6 months passed. When he was finally ready to start, Scott says that he remembered a detox that was described in Dr. Fuhrman's book, and he decided to do Dr. Fuhrman's detox before he started his diet. He said the detox was hard, but that it was worth it and helped him reset and get ready for his new life. Then he says he devised his own diet by choosing foods that he enjoyed: coffee, wine, olive oil, Newman's Own commercial salad dressing that he watered down, but no nuts or seeds. He says the foods he picked were based on tastes he felt he would not get tired of. In published interviews, he said that he picked mixes of foods that were hot, cold, salty, creamy, chewy, spicy, savory, and crisp, and devised a program based around his personal tastes, like pasta, hummus. But he was very clear that what he did from Dr. Fuhrman was just the detox from his book. He writes, "That was the extent of my using Joel's methods. I've never used his diets, meal plans, products, etc., except his detox ideas. I read his book almost a year later, used his detox methodology, and that was it." And he goes on, "So, no, my food types are very different than what Joel outlines, even though his science definitely works too. I rode a bicycle from the outset. From the exact moment I changed my food type and intake, bicycling played a huge, at least 50% part in my success. Maybe more if you factor in how many calories are burned when riding a bicycle daily. And finally, having been interviewed by Roberta a few times," Roberta's the other journalist, "yes, discipline is a huge and key factor in my, or any for that matter, success." So now this is Scott's story on Dr. Fuhrman's website, and it's actually completely false. Scott supposedly says, "I decided to change my approach to eating by following Dr. Fuhrman's high-nutrient meal plan." But no, he didn't follow Dr. Fuhrman's high-nutrient meal plan. He lost over 300 pounds in a period of 3 years by following an extremely low-calorie diet and doing vigorous exercise every day. I jumped right into Dr. Fuhrman's plan for nutritional excellence. No, he didn't follow Dr. Fuhrman's plan, and he never used the phrase nutritional excellence. It says, "Now I never tire of the way I eat, as the nutritarian diet plan is designed to include everything a human craves. There are foods that are hot, cold, salty, creamy, chewy, spicy, savory, and crisp." So someone has written a false version of Scott's story to make it look like he followed Dr. Fuhrman's diet to lose the weight. It looks like they used things Scott had said in other articles about his diet and inserted words like nutritarian and Dr. Fuhrman's plan into the middle of Scott's quotes. It appears that someone altered the statements Scott had made to make it appear he was giving credit to Dr. Fuhrman for his results. The quotes you see that have been attributed to Scott here are fake. So who wrote this testimonial if it wasn't Scott? Who made up these quotes? In 2008, when I asked Dr. Fuhrman for some examples of success stories with his diet, he sent me these before and after pictures from Scott. So here is Dr. Fuhrman's success story on his website in 2009 featuring Scott. This is 10 years ago. It's not written as a first-person testimonial yet. It says, recognizing his dire health situation and need for aggressive weight loss with optimal therapeutic effects, Scott jumped right into Dr. Fuhrman's most extreme plan for nutritional excellence. So this was false when it was written in 2009. Dr. Fuhrman has weight loss plans you can get when you join his website. And here it implies that Scott followed one of these plans, supposedly the most aggressive one, but Scott says he never got any meal plans or other plans from Dr. Fuhrman, let alone Dr. Fuhrman's, most extreme plan. In 2009 version on Dr. Fuhrman's website, it said, Scott said he never tires of the menu as it was designed to include everything a human craves. He said there are things that are hot, cold, salty, creamy, chewy, spicy, savory, and crisp. So they quote Scott's description from an article about Scott, which Dr. Fuhrman had actually linked to in his blog in 2008. But you can see that the current testimonial today on Dr. Fuhrman's website, which is written in the first person, supposedly by Scott, the words nutritarian diet plan were added to what Scott actually said in the article. Now I never tire of the way that the nutritarian diet plan is designed to include everything. It's like a fish story, and when someone keeps exaggerating how big the fish they caught was, each time Scott's story is retold by Dr. Fuhrman or his team, more and more of Dr. Fuhrman and his program appear to be inserted into the testimonial. Dr. Fuhrman's website is not the only place where he has been giving himself credit for Scott's success. For at least 12 years, over and over again, Dr. Fuhrman has been telling thousands of people at public events that he is responsible for Scott's incredible weight loss.
Here's Scott, who lost 300 pounds on a nutritarian diet, more than 300 pounds.
So that's a false statement by Dr. Fuhrman. Scott says he never followed a nutritarian diet.
He thought he finished losing weight once he got to 182. He said, I lost enough. But you know what happened over the next 5 years? He dropped another 6 or 7 pounds. He got to like 175 was his final weight. He wasn't trying to lose more weight. He was just on this diet for the rest of his life.
Again, Scott was on his own diet. He wasn't on Dr. Fuhrman's diet for the rest of his life.
He said, it's not a diet. It's not about a goal weight. It's about doing what's healthy for my body, and the results follow naturally. Because I want to show you a few cases. Here's Scott, who lost over 300 pounds, who kept losing weight when he no longer wanted to lose weight anymore. His final weight was actually 175, not 182, he thought. But he stays with the program. He's just enjoying eating this way.
Scott is not staying with Dr. Fuhrman's program, as Dr. Fuhrman is claiming here.
Look at Scott. He lost about 300 pounds, 320 pounds in 1 year.
So he says Scott lost over 320 pounds in 1 year. No, it took over 3 years to lose the weight using intense calorie restriction and intense exercise.
He wasn't trying to lose weight. He was trying to save his life, right? Saved his life. He was happy when he got to 182 pounds. He didn't know that. He wasn't trying to lose more, but he dropped another 10 pounds. Just because his body gravitated towards the healthy weight. He wasn't on a diet.
I don't know what you call it if someone is eating 1,000 calories a day to lose weight and keep it off. Dr. Fuhrman may not call it a diet, but most people would.
Here's Scott, who lost 300 pounds, and he thought he got to his best weight at 182.
Here Dr. Fuhrman has this slide with a quote supposedly from Scott, where Scott is saying, eat for health is not a diet and it's not about a goal weight. I'm just doing what's healthy for my body and the results follow. So another fake testimonial being offered to Dr. Fuhrman's potential customers.
And here's Scott, who lost over 330 pounds, living his life. But, and he said, it's not a diet. He's just living his life healthfully now. And he thought he lost all the weight he had to lose when he lost 300 pounds. He didn't think he had to lose any more weight. He didn't try to lose more weight. He just kept living healthfully and eventually dropped a little more weight. Here's Scott, who lost 300 pounds. He actually is lighter than that now, right? He got rid of course, all his sleep apnea, his high blood pressure, his 10 medications he was taking.
When people struggling with obesity see the outstanding results that Scott achieved, they will want to imitate Scott's success. They will be fooled into thinking Dr. Fuhrman's plan will bring them the same success when the truth is that Scott did not follow any aspect of Dr. Fuhrman's plan. He never followed a nutritarian diet. His testimonial is a fabrication. Scott is a very nice person, by the way. I believe him, and I think he's very honest. He says he likes and respects Dr. Fuhrman's work. He's also talked about the inspiration and the information that he's gotten from Dr. T. Colin Campbell, whom he has met with. So Scott seems to have various influences, but only one doctor has improperly and inaccurately taken credit for Scott's success, and that's Dr. Fuhrman. Now let's take a look at the research on weight loss that Dr. Fuhrman has published. I've previously covered Dr. Fuhrman's 2008 weight loss study. The study was filled with so many egregious errors that one of the three authors, Dr. T. Colin Campbell, had his name withdrawn. The study was a retrospective chart review that began with Dr. Fuhrman selecting the files of 100 of his patients who had come to him for weight loss counseling. This was whittled down to a group of 56 patients to be in the study. Now, most of the 56 patients had dropped out by the 2-year mark, and of the 19 patients left, there was an average weight gain, not weight loss, for the second year. So of his 4 patients that had not regained weight at 2 years, this was basically a success rate of 4% based on the initial 100 patients that had come to Dr. Fuhrman to lose weight. But Dr. Fuhrman's representation of the study in public was quite different. Here he is in 2008 talking about the study on TV, claiming that he had a 100% success rate.
And then we finished a medical study that showed that this was the most effective way to lose weight and keep it off, where none of the participants actually gained back any weight, and the average person in the study lost 53 pounds.
And here again he is speaking in front of an audience 2 years later at a conference.
This study, done on a high micronutrient diet, showed the average person lost 53 pounds, and nobody gained the weight back. They didn't yo-yo their weight. They lost their weight and they kept it off because it was a knowledge-based program. They did it for their health, not just for their weight.
So those were completely false statements to promote his program. Dr. Fuhrman's next try at studying weight loss was in 2014. He set up a Survey Monkey-style online questionnaire, and he invited people who were eating a plant-based diet to answer his survey. Here's the survey. It's still online today. I'll put a link and you can check it out for yourself. You can see that you could answer anonymously. You could also apparently answer it multiple times if you wanted. While the published article that Dr. Fuhrman did on this survey claims that it was a study on the nutritarian diet, the truth is you didn't have to be following Dr. Fuhrman's program to take the survey. The questionnaire did not ask participants any specific questions related to what Dr. Fuhrman considers to be the unique aspects of his dietary program, such as there was no questions like, do you limit starches to 1 cup a day? So because he didn't actually ask people what they were and weren't eating, we can never know if participants were following his diet or the diets recommended by people like Dr. Ornish or Dr. McDougall or another plant-based diet like Forks Over Knives. As long as you were following a mostly plant-based diet, you were invited by Dr. Fuhrman to take his survey. And there were questions in the survey like how much weight did you lose in the first year of going plant-based, how much in the second year. And so people were supposed to click on the survey and then recall this data. There's no way of really knowing how accurately people were reporting their exact weight from 1 year, 2 years, 3 years ago. So out of this data Dr. Fuhrman collected online from the plant-based community, he published a study in 2015 called Improved Cardiovascular Parameter with a Nutrient-Dense, Plant-Rich Diet Style, a Patient Survey with Illustrative Cases. Putting aside the limitations of this survey study, let's look at the actual results of the study as reported in the published article and then contrast that with how Dr. Fuhrman represents the study in lectures, interviews, and in articles on his website. Here we can see that there were 813 respondents to this survey who were obese, and these people lost an average of 36.3 pounds. And here again, we can see that about 31% of the respondents experienced weight gain. However, this is a bit misleading because Dr. Fuhrman only lists the rate of weight gain for people who reported greater than 80% compliance with the plant-based diet. So we have no idea what the actual rate of regain was or would have been if people with the lower rates of compliance were also included, but it is reasonable to assume that the rate of regaining weight would have been even higher. So these are the relevant results of the study. 813 obese people with an average weight loss of 36.3 pounds and a rate of regain of at least 31%, probably higher if Dr. Fuhrman had included more of the obese people who filled out his survey. Now let's look at how Dr. Fuhrman described the results of his anonymous online survey to the public.
So the average weight loss after 2 years and after 3 years, the obese people, 75 people in the study, still maintained their 50 pounds of weight loss. Let me say that one more time. The only study in medical history, the only study I'm aware of, where people lost weight and were followed for 2 years or more, and none of the participants gained the weight back that they lost. Everyone maintained their weight loss. All 75 participants maintained more than a 50-pound weight loss.
So here's Dr. Fuhrman in 2016 reporting that this was a study of 75 people. And as we know, that's not accurate. There were 813 obese people whose data he reported on out of 2,273 total respondents. He says the average weight loss was over 50 pounds, but this is not accurate either. His article states that the average weight loss was 36.3 pounds among people who started out obese. He says none of the participants regained any weight. This was also not accurate because I showed you that in his study it states that at least 31% of the obese respondents regained weight. Here he is in another interview.
There's been some studies on a nutrition program. We just finished a study that's going to be published shortly in a medical journal that showed that the average person lost over 50 pounds and maintained it. This is the person with a BMI over 30, lost over 30 pounds. People with a BMI of 25 to 30 lost somewhat less pounds, about 30 pounds. But we followed them for years, and we found that these people maintained the weight loss for 2, 3, up to 5 years. They didn't gain the weight back. So the majority of people so the people that got the benefits sustained it, but they didn't see it as a temporary fix.
So this is false. To repeat, the average weight loss was 36.3 pounds. No one was followed. This was an online anonymous survey, and at least 31% of the obese patients had weight regain. Dr. Fuhrman portrays the results of his study in a similar manner in online articles. On his website, he states, in a study of 75 people who had switched to a nutritarian diet, the average weight loss was 55 pounds after 3 years. Again, there's no study of 75 people. That's a fraudulent statement. And there's no evidence that people were following a nutritarian diet or that they had switched to a nutritarian diet from some other eating style. This was a survey of over 2,200 people following some type of plant-based diet, and Dr. Fuhrman decided to pick out a non-random group of 75 out of 813 obese people who claimed that they had lost over 50 pounds. Here's another article from his website. The average weight loss was 55 pounds after 3 years, which means they kept the weight off long term. Dr. Fuhrman is using the same type of deception to promote his 2015 weight loss study that he used to promote his discredited 2008 patient chart review.
And by the way, I just had a recent study published this month in a peer-reviewed medical journal where they followed 63 people following a diet plan, and they lost more weight than any study in medical history, and they kept it off, and they followed them for 2 years. None of the participants gained any weight back, and that was the major difference between other diet plans. Let me say that one more time. The only study in medical history, the only study I'm aware of, where people lost weight and were followed for 2 years or more, and none of the participants gained the weight back that they lost.
Putting aside the complete misrepresentation of his results, do you think that it's acceptable for a doctor to tell an audience of lay people that he conducted a weight loss study that was historical when it was based on an anonymous online survey? Do you think it's honest to say that participants were followed when in reality they simply completed a one-time questionnaire online and were asked to recall their weight from 1, 2, or 3 years before? Here's something to think about. Let's say I sell a pill that grows hair, and I set up an anonymous survey on my website to ask people, how the pill worked for them. Let's say I get 813 bald men to answer, and 75 of them said they had great results. Can I then claim that this was a study of 75 men and they all grew their hair back and none of them lost any of the regrown hair after 3 years? Could I say that my pill had a 100% success rate? Let me know what you think about this issue. Do doctors have a responsibility to be honest and not mislead people, even if it's for the cause of plant-based eating? I'm going to discuss in a future video what it means to republish a study that you have already published elsewhere, and I'm going to be presenting the opinions of researchers who write about this question and who looked at Dr. Fuhrman's research. Okay, thank you for watching till the end. Please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel. I have more videos in the pipeline, which I'll get up before long. Thanks a lot.